The boy is watching his bat burning. His mother, in a fit of rage to get her son to take his studies more seriously so that he one day will become a pilot, has decided to take drastic measures to ensure that he focuses on his education. The issue is that it doesn't actually stop him playing cricket at all, because the boy picks up a stick and starts swinging it around and hitting stones off the upper floor of his house. In fact, he hits one so well that it breaks a window. His mother's act of maternal arson has actually ended up in ruining a neighbor's house. His father decides he might as well get him another bat to save the windows. And this all happened to a player who at that stage was barely a teenager. And yet, all these years later, despite the fact he's now a bowler and not a batter, Pathirana still burns bats today.
If you need a VPN, go Nord. Use nordvpn.com/Kimber to get a 2-year contract with a discount, plus 4 extra months, plus gifts in some markets. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. Protect your computer like a blocker protects the stumps with NordVPN today.
The problem with facing Pathirana is that the ball should be coming from just above the heads of the bowler and the umpire, somewhere in between. But it's actually delivered from somewhere near the sternum of the umpire. You can use all the ball machines you want, or get throwdown coaches to try sidearm from this spot. But you cannot replicate the years and years of practice where players have been looking in the same spot again and again for their entire lives. And we know this is hard, not because of Pathirana, but because of how Lasith Malinga dominated during his career. And Pathirana is basically doing the exact same thing, or slightly different, but pretty much the same, that Malinga always did in this same tournament. Remember that Malinga was part of the Mumbai Indians title-winning squads across several IPLs in 2013, 15, 17 and 19. He was the original king of the T20 Yorker, and he had success against many sides, but he seemed to absolutely love playing against the Chennai Super Kings, picking up 37 wickets against them. That was the joint most for any player against a single opponent in the T20 game when he retired. The curly hair with frosted tips, slinging action, and disarming green were probably the stuff of nightmares for the men in yellow. And there's no doubt they would have loved to have bagged Malinga at some point over their long rivalry with Mumbai. However, they have managed to do the next best thing. Pathirana's first call up to the IPL was as a net bowler in 2021, and although he was tempted to take that up, he ended up turning it down because of his commitments to his school and their cricket season, which I am sure would have made his mother happy. So it caught a few people by surprise when he was called up as a replacement for Adam Milne in the following year. Pathirana hadn't played for Sri Lanka yet. In fact, he hadn't actually been in one of their squads. And while his action caught everyone's attention, there were, and to be honest still are in some quarters, real doubts about his control. But here he was being called up to potentially play for one of the most storied teams in the IPL. Think of Malinga. He hadn't quite reached legendary status by the time he was in the IPL, but he was an established international cricketer when Mumbai came calling in 2009. It was clear from the start that things were going to be very different for Pathirana. And he was born in 2002, so he's of the generation for whom the IPL is just a natural part of the cricket ecosystem. So getting that call up to join the squad as a raw 19-year-old was already a massive deal. Pathirana spent most of the season on the bench, but he finally got his chance in the latter part of a poor season for CSK. He of course had Malinga's number 99 on his back, and he delivered the sort of slinging ball that is unplayable, full straight and plumb. A magic start to your career first ball. In the 2023 season, it went from being seen as just a replica of an IPL legend to a player with the potential to carry CSK's death bowling for years to come. It was quite a responsibility to lay on a 20-year-old, but to be fair, he carried that quite well. He was an integral part of CSK's title run in that season, and he ended up as their most economical quick, despite often bowling their toughest overs. Often 3 in a row at the death. He would end up being the 4th most successful quick in the competition. He had 18 wickets at just over 8 runs and over, and that was coming right at the end of this game. In fact, there was a lot of people who were saying things like, can he even bowl at other points of the game? And you'd be happy to take those numbers from a veteran. Well, like anyone, if we're going to be honest, but certainly a guy in his second season. And it's also worth remembering that when that season started, he'd only bowled 1 over in international cricket. And this is the impact he had in his second season. This is not something you expect from the top paid bowler in the world, let alone someone his own nation was still less than obsessed with. He took 19 wickets in 2023 with a true economy of 1.34, and his true wickets were basically par. So at this point, he was a fantastic defensive bowler while being a normal wicket taker. However, it's his death overs bowling that was truly unbelievable in 2023. 18 of his 19 wickets came in over 17 to 20 at a true economy of 2.93, and his true wickets were +1. As IPL 2024 kicked off, there was a cloud hanging over his availability for the tournament. The CSK fans were desperate to work out his fitness, so they inundated his social media accounts to find out. And he had a quiet start to the season in what was a big win for CSK over Gujarat. But he turned up against Delhi, first with a stunning diving catch at short third, putting to bed any injury concerns. I mean, temporarily, because he would miss the next 2 games with a niggle. But when it was his turn to bowl, a precise Yorker flattened Mitchell Marsh's middle stump in the 15th over, and then Tristan Stubbs suffered an almost identical fate. This time, it was the off stump that lay splayed on the floor. There are no stumps in world cricket that seem to jump out of the ground like the Indian ones, but Pathirana just completely splatters them. His comeback game after those injuries was against Mumbai, and he gave them a taste of the medicine that they had quite happily given out all the way through Malinga's career. He finished with figures of 4 for 28 in a game where nearly 400 runs were scored. He also bowled 12 dots on a day where he delivered the 18th and 20th overs. That performance almost perfectly illustrated his impact for the Super Kings. He has taken wickets regularly all the way through, but he's also been incredibly economical. At the time of writing, he stood 11th on the wicket takers list for this season, but that's of course underselling it, because he had 13 wickets in only 6 games. Only Bumrah and Narayan have taken more wickets than him at a better economy, and his is 7.68. 40% of his deliveries have been dots. And remember that most of his overs come at the death. His economy rate there of 9.11 is second only to Jasprit Bumrah's. And to be fair, he's a fair way behind, but he's a very different kind of bowler. This is our true O's and 6s for Pathirana, which gives you an idea of kind of how people score of each bowler. A value of 1 means par, and the higher the better for a bowler. And the one thing that should be screaming at your face is that you cannot hit Pathirana for a 6. He's 141% better at not conceding 6s than what is expected of him. 141%. And we thought it was best to compare him to others to see how that translated. I've seen many outliers before, but this is certainly someone who appears to be on the wrong graphic. The fact you can hit him to the rope at a normal rate, but never over it, is completely wild. He's truly in a league of his own when it comes to not conceding 6s. If you want to get into the true figures, out of all the bowlers who've bowled at least 100 balls this season, he has the 4th best true economy rate of 2.37. Only Bumrah, Sandeep Sharma and Narayan are better. He also has the 2nd best true wickets value of 0.97, just behind Russell's 1.16. Meaning that over a 4 over period, he takes 1 more wicket than expected. He is taking a wicket per spell better than the rest of the league. And he is still incredibly raw. In fact, that is probably part of his danger. This is a fantastic graph that shows you that he is the most likely bowler to take your wicket and bowl wides. You're probably only going to be dismissed by him or not be able to reach the ball. But the incredible thing is, he bowls more wides than anyone and yet still goes for no runs. The most economical and the most likely to bowl 5 wides. That is some package. In a game that is tilting more towards the batters, Pathirana has faced every challenge on the pitch so far very successfully, except for the one that his action naturally brings. The biggest hurdle he faces now is actually keeping himself on the park. With the T20 World Cup only a couple of weeks away, he's back in Sri Lanka with a hamstring knee. So what could have been an all-time IPL season has been cut short at just 6 games. They call him Baby Malinga, but the original slinger was a lot more deadly and accurate. He partnered an incredible delivery style with next-level thinking. And even as he slowed down, he was just as brilliant. Pathirana is nowhere near that level at the moment. He's like a child with a nuclear bomb rocket launcher attached to his arm, and he's still in the infancy of reaching the heights of his idol. He has the slower ball, the Yorker, and the bouncer, and his arm is at an even lower angle than Malinga's ever was. And many people are already saying he's the fastest bowler to ever come out of Sri Lanka. But there's still a long way for him to go to even be an all-innings bowler. Plus, he's got to stop with all those wides. But back when his mother was worried about him not being a pilot or studying all that hard, the truth was that he was always hitting the books, almost as hard as he used to hit his neighbour's windows. So if he continues to study bowling, then there is actually no limit to where he might end. Pathirana may not be a pilot, but he's already flying. A lot of people complain that I'm not a former cricketer, and so that I don't really know the game. Well, you know what they can't claim? That I don't know desks. I've been using desks for years. I'm a collector of desks, old and new, and I am sitting on a new one right now. I am the Don Bradman of sitting at desks. So when I tell you that the E7 Pro next generation height adjustable desk from FlexiSpot is legit, this is like Michael Jordan talking to you about sneakers. This desk holds 160 kilograms. It is as stable as anything I've ever seen, and it has under desk cable management. But really, the main skill here is that this desk rises and falls at the push of a button, and it moves super quick. And it has so many settings that remember your favorite heights. It really does it all. And I could not recommend the E7 Pro from FlexiSpot anymore, even though I am currently sitting on one of FlexiSpot's BS12 Pro multifunctional, adjustable, upgraded fabric, ergonomic chairs. My butt and computer have never been happier than when using one of FlexiSpot's products. So get over to their page right now for big savings.